Blog Talk Radio.
The funeral is about to begin, sir.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for? If not for shedding.
Welcome to another episode of the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dead Man, Michael Jones, welcoming you to another spectacular evening of horror in the world. Tonight's going to be a pretty good show. We have a lot of things to cover. Tonight, our main guests are going to be actress, producer, and writer Maria Olsen, and actor-producer Rick Foreman. And they will be on to discuss their upcoming film, Slash, who, if any of my fans are out there paying attention, you'll remember I did a very short Q&A with TNA Pro Wrestling's Sean Hernandez, who is also going to be in the film. So I'm looking forward to hearing a lot more about what's going on with that project. In our Indie Spotlight this evening at 8:15, we are going to have Mitch from Gore Noir magazine on. The Dead Man has an article coming up in that issue, and I think fans and collectors are going to enjoy this particular issue. So we're going to have Mitch on at 8:15 to come on and talk about that. In a few moments, we are going to be doing our first of two Blu-ray reviews for the evening. And our first one I'm extremely excited for. This will be the first time that the Dead Man has done a review on a Troma Blu-ray release. We're going to say thank you to our friends Ed and Anchor Bay for sending that along to us. I'm really looking forward to that here in a few moments. In the second part of our show, I'm equally excited to be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Bad Dreams, and that's actually a split disc. Also on that is Visiting Hours, and we will be covering that film in the Scream Factory Spotlight. So there is certainly a lot to talk about this evening, and in our Metal Blade Spotlight, I'm going to start doing something a little bit different. I'm, of course, going to be focusing on all of Metal Blade's releases, but instead of playing a two-shot by an artist, I'm going to pick three artists each week and play a song by them. Of course, I'll give you the album info and the name of the band and everything like that. Of course, you'll be able to go on to metalblade.com, iTunes, or be able to head to your favorite retailer and get copies of the spectacular music that we get. We want to thank Kelly out at Metal Blade for making all of that possible to us. So before we get to our Indie Spotlight with Mitch and Gore Noir magazine, we're going to get into our first DVD review. So let's get into it.
Digital dismemberment.
So like I said, I feel really fortunate this week. I finally get to do something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that's review something from both Anchor Bay and especially from Troma. Anyone that knows me knows that I've been a Troma fan for years, and my good friend Ed out at Anchor Bay was kind enough to send this along. So what we'll do here is I'll give you a little bit of the background on the press release. His name is legendary. He's created some of the most iconic films and characters in all cinema, including The Toxic Avenger and Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. His name is Lloyd Kaufman, and Anchor Bay's got him. Anchor Bay Films proudly announces the return of Lloyd Kaufman to the theatrical feature director's chair with the March 18th Blu-ray and DVD release of Return to Nuke Em High Volume 1. The cast includes Catherine Corcoran, Asta Paredes, Debbie Rochon, Motorhead's Lemmy Kilmister, and introducing Kevin the Wonder Duck. Fresh from exclusive theatrical engagements in New York, Los Angeles, and other major markets, and still playing in exclusive theatrical engagements all over the world, Return to Nuke Em High Volume 1 is presented in all its directors-approved, unrated glory. So, the basic premise of the film is welcome to Tromaville High School, your typical high school populated with your basic football jocks, wannabe prom queens, and glee club hopefuls. Did I say typical? After all, this is Tromaville High, where the Gee Club has mutated into the hideous cretins after eating tainted tacos, courtesy of the Troma Organic Foodstuffs conglomerate. Chrissy and Lauren, two innocent lover bloggers, must not only fight the adolescent beasts and freaks, they must also defeat the evil conglomerate. Will they, along with their mutant pet duck, save Tromaville High from the rest of society? And the rest of society? Return to Nuke Em High Volume 1 has it all. Satire, sci-fi, plenty of Troma's world-famous green goo, themes of anti-bullying and LGBT rights. If that isn't enough, how about death by glee club, high falls, meltdowns, and fiery explosions? And wait, there's even more. There's plenty of exposed teen viscera and breasts and love triumphing over prejudice. Just like The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Glee, only 100% Troma style. So as you can tell right off from the gate, Troma is not pulling any punches and doing what Troma does. And I have to admit, before we even get into the film, being a huge fan of Troma and Lloyd Kaufman and everything that he's done, after watching this film, I was pleasantly surprised to see that Troma has not only maintained its independence, but it continues to bring the cutting edge even into the independent mainstream. While not being the world's biggest fan of digital effects and, just crazy computer-generated things, while Troma incorporated some of that into this film, it never took away from what the effects were, the practical effects, and that's something that we'll get into. As a matter of fact, just so you know, some of the special features on this were really cool. There's 2 audio commentaries, and the first one has actors Zach Amico, Clay Von Karlowitz, Catherine Corcoran, Stuart Kizik, and Asta Paredes. The second one has writer, producer, director Lloyd Kaufman, producer Justin A. Martell, executive producers Matt Manjuris, associate producer Regina Katz, and writer Travis Campbell. I haven't had a chance to listen to both. I have listened to the one with Asta Paredes on it. And then just as a side note, Asta was absolutely incredible in this film. She's actually one of the few actresses out there that has been part of both my Deadly Beauty series and done the full Talking with the Dead interview series with me. And I could tell back then when I had interviewed her that this young lady had talent, and the talent is certainly on display there. She definitely presents a strong character presence. You certainly notice when she's on the camera, and she's just very entertaining. Her acting is believable, and I can't wait for the second one, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So some of the other special features that are included on the Blu-ray include a small short called, or not really a short, but a behind-the-scenes called Casting Conundrum, and that runs about 7 minutes. It's kind of hosted by Lloyd, speaking in the background with lots of text, and he basically describes how Troma goes about its casting process. The use of social media is heavily emphasized, and it showed when they had people show up for auditions. Chelsea Holland, who was the casting director, is shown auditioning actors and actresses and all the random craziness that goes on with a Troma casting. Nudity is a heavy factor on Troma auditions. They showed, and Lloyd talks about how, get all that nervousness out, because when you're on set and it's time to do it, it's time to do it. So it's an interesting way that Troma does it, how they set up their auditions, but at the same time, Lloyd definitely got what he was looking for in terms of actors and actresses. There's also another small featurette on there called Pre-Production Hell with Mine Kaufman, and that runs about 10 minutes. And that's a really good look behind the scenes at, where the cast and crew stayed, which was actually at a funeral home. Lloyd shoots everything, and you see this on the behind the scenes. He's walking around with a camera while he's being filmed, talking to everybody about it. He also gave a very motivational speech to the cast and crew before everything started, and I can certainly see how working with Lloyd would be inspirational. He truly believes in his art, and he wants the people that work with him to have that same vision. There was a funny little bit on there that there were problems with a dog, not liking some of the actors, so having to get another dog, lots of location snafus, and a production meeting. So, it kind of gave a really nice behind-the-curtains glimpse at what goes on with Troma. There was another featurette called Special Ed Effects, and that runs about 7 minutes. And it's a look at the special effects that went into Return to Nuke Em High. They showed plenty of test work and footage before the actual shooting took place. Lisa Forst, who was one of the special effects artists on the film, talks about how tough some of the test shots were. One of the other things I found funny, and again, this is Troma, wiggling dildos are an important part of any Troma effects. And that definitely comes into play. There was coming blood, melting flesh, everything you would expect from a Troma film when it comes to the makeup effects, both practical and digital. And, something I was glad to see, and they kind of mention it. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of The Crow and was very sad about how Brandon Lee's tragic accident happened on the set. And they actually showed Lloyd, personally checking the gun for safety. So that was nice to see that Lloyd believes in that as well. There's the Celluloid Kaufman, 40 Year of Traumatizing the World. It's a 2-minute video montage with Motorhead playing, and it utilizes clips from over 40 years, or, the 40 years of Troma films. There is a music video from the Architects of Fear. The song is Edison Device. That runs about 3.5 minutes. It's a pretty cool little music video that incorporates parts of the film. And there is a trailer for Return to Nuke Em High 2. I'd have to say, as an overall, I was extremely, extremely impressed with this release. Again, this is the first Troma review that I have done for Horror Society, whether it be written, which will be up soon, or, an oral review. And, like I said, Troma holds a very special place in my heart. They've done a lot of the films that I've enjoyed over the years. You can't deny, Class of Nuke Em High, Mother's Day, Sergeant Kabuki Man, The Toxic Avenger. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. And, I like this. All these years later, Lloyd goes back to part of the backbone that is Troma films. And again, Lloyd shows that he still has the creative vision that he's always had in the past. You go into a Troma film for the entertainment aspect of it. Something that's not known about this film is that it was selected by the Museum of Modern Art as part of their prestigious 2013 Contender Series, which is an annual collection of visionary cinema, selecting influential, innovative films made and released during the year. And as I had mentioned before, 2014 also marks the 40th anniversary of Troma Entertainment, as they are the longest surviving independent film label out there today. So, in my opinion, this is definitely a 2 thumbs up. As far as Troma films go, again, it's if you've ever watched a Troma film, you know what to expect. But I feel like this one stands out. This goes up there with me with movies like the original Class of Nuke Em High, The Toxic Avenger, Romeo and Juliet, Terror Firmer. I give this movie, I rate this movie a 9. This is everything that I love about Troma. And I'm glad to see that Lloyd is still pursuing the dream after all of these years. As an overall, with the special features and what we got to saw, I give it a 9 as well. Anchor Bay did a fantastic job of giving us a quick glimpse behind, the curtain to show us what it's like on a Troma set. Like I said, Lloyd Kaufman is one of the most beloved and most hated men in film, in both aspects. You hear both sides of it, but the man still creates masterful art. And once again, I definitely recommend this. Head on over to Anchor Bay and order this. I'm not 100% for sure if this is available for download through streaming or through Netflix, but it's certainly worth checking out. If you don't want to go those routes and you prefer to go to a box store, definitely check out your local retailer. I'm sure if most of you have an FYE or a Best Buy in your area, they can certainly order the film for you. But again, I just want to say, a great film. And to go back to Asta for a minute, like I said, I really enjoyed her role in the film. I'm looking forward to seeing where she goes from here. I remember in the interviews that I did with her, she had mentioned that Debbie Rochon was one of the Scream Queens that, she really took notice with and who she enjoyed working with while working on this project. And, I can see that. I really like what I see coming from her as a young actress. And, of course, we know we're going to see her in Nuke Em High Volume 2. So, I'm really interested to see where else she's going to go. And hopefully we can get an all-Troma show. And I know I've been on Twitter with Asta and would love to have her on, and she's receptive. So, Lloyd, anyone at Troma, if you're listening, we would love to do an all-Troma show. So we will be in touch. Coming up here in the next few minutes, I'm waiting on Mitch to give me a call from Gore Noir so that we can discuss the magazine and everything that's coming up with that. But in the meantime, we're going to go into our first Metal Blade Spotlight. The first band is Behemoth. This is off of their new CD, The Satanist, and the title track is The Satanists. When we come back in 5 minutes, we will be on with Mitch from Gore Noir. Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. That was Behemoth off of their new album, The Satanist, self-entitled track, The Satanist. To give you a little bit of information, The Satanist is the 10th studio album from Polish extreme metal band Behemoth. The album was announced on May 31st, 2013, and released on February 3rd, 2014, through Nuclear Blast in Europe, and on February 4th in the United States and Poland via Metal Blade Records and Mystic Productions. Release was preceded by digital download single Blow Your Trumpet, Gabriel, and a 12-inch EP under the same title, released on December 4th of 2013. If you enjoyed that, head on over to metalblade.com and check out Behemoth's page there. You can purchase your albums there. You can also purchase them on iTunes, and you can pick them up at your local retailer. Mitch with Gore Noir is a little tied up at the moment, so we're going to go right into our interview with Maria Olsen and Rycke Foreman. And you're going to be hearing a lot about Slash and a lot of their other projects. So please enjoy. And welcome back this evening to the Calling Hours on Horror Society Radio. This is your host, the Dead Man Michael Jones. And this evening, our special guests for interview are actress, producer, and just about everything else I think you can do in Hollywood, Maria Olsen. And we also have Rycke Foreman. We are going to be talking to them not only about their general film careers, but in particular a film called Slash. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much.
No problem, no problem. Well, I mean, Maria, you and I have been just going back and forth on Facebook for months now. You even took part in my Talking with the Dead interview series.
That was cool. Thanks very much.
Oh, anytime. I loved having you on as part of it. Now, can you tell us, I mean, with just the sheer amount of projects that you've worked on, how did you become involved with Slash, and how did you meet Rycke?
Well, technically, I've never actually met Rycke yet, Yeah. We've spoken on the phone, on the radio, on Skype, on email, everything, but I haven't actually Arizona yet and met him. I'm looking forward to that day. I was wandering through postings on LinkedIn one day, and one of them said, we are looking for a producer to help us get our film Slash out there. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. So I messaged Rycke, and, well, the rest is history.
Now, Rycke, go hand in hand with that. How did you become involved with the project? And when you found out Maria was working with you, how did you feel about that? Were you excited?
I was definitely excited to have Maria on board. You know how charismatic she is, and just how, we were talking before the interview started. She's like the Energizer Bunny. She just goes. How many projects did you do last year, Maria? Or this year?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't count. As you said earlier, the years on IMDb are not correct because things go up there sometimes a lot later or a lot earlier than they actually come out. It's a lot of projects that I'm involved in on any given day. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, it is. I mean, I do think it's amazing, and it's a testament to how hard you work in the industry. Looking through some of your work, being involved with Lords of Salem, and you had a spot on American Horror Story, Paranormal Activity 3, you definitely get your chances to work on bigger projects, bigger Hollywood films. What was it in particular so far about Slash that made you want to become part of the production team and an actress for the film?
Well, I do love anything Jack the Ripper, for one thing, and the world of Slash is intertwined with that of Jack the Ripper. So that immediately perked my interest in it. The role that I have in the film, Mary Kelly, for those of you who know the Ripper, that'll ring bells immediately, but it has nothing to do with the Mary Kelly of history. I really like the role. and I love its potential, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun shooting it when I actually get to do that. And then as I got to know Rick, I was like, these are good people. These are people that I want to be involved with. These are people who are always going to be up front with me. He's going to tell me a spade is a spade and not, like, beat around the bush and do stupid Hollywood things. And, yeah, I want to work with these people. So that's the two aspects, the actual personal business aspect, and then that's the role I'd like to play aspect, the creative side.
Now, Rick, looking at everything that Maria has done and, just the vast expanse of, not only drama but comedy and thriller and everything, what do you feel her not only as a producer brings to the project but her acting ability as well? What do you think that brings along to the cast and crew that are rumored to be a part of it? And we'll get to them in a few minutes.
Cool. Like I said, she brings so much energy, she brings so much passion, and she just gets so excited about all the projects she's behind. God, what doesn't she bring? She has, oh my gosh, she's brought us people and gotten us publicity, and she has done just everything. I really don't know where she finds the time to do everything she does.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It really is amazing, like I said, when you look at just everything on her resume. Now, I wanted to ask you on the production end, there are different types of producers, and we had talked about this in your interview, but looking at some of your other people on the crew, you have Laura Carlson listed as a producer, Miss Miranda Foreman. You have Ned Wiseman, who's listed as 3D producer. Now, let's stop right there for a second. Is the intention to shoot / actually in 3D? And how much more of a challenge do you guys think that's going to present for the production?
It's absolutely intended to be shot in 3D. We don't want to post-convert. Of course, I guess we could end up doing a little bit of both. I don't know. We're going to work everything out with all the guys on how to technically do it best. But yeah, we do intend to actually have 3D cameras, real 3D cameras, and shoot on those. And Ned Wiseman is kind of running that show for us. He takes care of everything 3D.
Now, Maria, with all the films that you've worked on, have you worked on anything that's been in 3D before?
No, I have not. So I know there are technical things you need to build into the shooting schedule and budget, like extra time and extra money, but I've never worked practically with it before.
See, and that's what I wanted to ask you was, as maybe looking at old 3D may not be a good example, but I recently watched Amityville 3D. Nightmare on Elm Street had some and all that. Well, Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray 3D, and it's amazing. And you can tell, though, from the old ways when they used to shoot 3D that the perspective sometimes seemed off, where actors were, where things were set up to get the 3D effect. And I was going to ask you, with modern 3D, do either of you know that, has that aspect changed? When you watch a lot of movies now in 3D, you don't get that perspective. I guess what I'm asking is how much different is the technology that you're looking at as opposed to shooting it on regular filming?
Oh, wow. The difference is absolutely huge. They've come up with the mirror boxes now and actually just have dual lens camera systems. I believe that's what we're actually, what Ned's kind of steering us toward, is a dual lens system. But yeah, no, there's it's just so much easier now to do all that. I have no idea what they had to do, in the 50s or even back in the 80s when they were producing stuff like Amityville 3D. I have no idea how they had to do that. But nowadays, boy, some 3D cameras you can literally just point and shoot with and really don't have to mess with too much. Others, it still definitely takes the extra time. You have to get the proper measurements, a lot more careful with your lighting. So, I think it just kind of depends on the quality of the film and the picture, and maybe even what the director and the crew's used to shooting with.
Now, one of the people that I got to interview earlier, and Maria, you were quite instrumental in this. I'm kind of interested to get your thoughts on. I interviewed Sean Hernandez, who is a pro wrestler in TNA, and of course, everyone that listens to the show knows what a big pro wrestling fan I am. So thank you very much for helping me to get that interview. But looking back on it, what led to you guys looking at Sean as an actor for the film?
He was actually brought to us by our casting director. She had some ties with the wrestling industry anyway, and she knew that he was kind of...
Leona Kibbe?
Actually, this is... oh, my gosh, I feel so silly. I'm blanking right now. Cheryl, yeah.
Cheryl, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cheryl...
Cheryl Roberts. Yeah, Cheryl Roberts, principal casting.
I hope she doesn't hear this. I'm not going to tell her about this. We're just going to leave this one, alone. You didn't get any publicity this week from me. Sorry, Cheryl. Cheryl Roberts. Leonie Kibbe is actually based pretty much out of London.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw her listed, and casting director London. So are you guys looking to shoot stuff in London as well as in New Mexico for this?
No, strictly New Mexico. Leonie, my gosh, Slash has actually been up a couple of times. I met Leonie through a bad producer. Actually, she was one of the few good things that came out of that relationship. That was actually with Slash, and the guy had promised us the moon, and we did a little bit of cross-checking on him, and he seemed okay, and he had a few movies behind his belt, and so it was like, all right, cool, and we all piled on his bandwagon, and whoops.
Well, this is an inside joke. Inside joke. Some of my fans will get this. They pulled a Viper Productions on you. That's what I call that. I've worked with people like that in the industry as well, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can see it all now. All you had to say was a Viper, and I got you.
Now, it's an interesting part, though. Now, again, everything else that I saw on IMDb was rumored, but the only names that I saw that were, if you want to call them definites for the cast, were Sean and, of course, you, Maria. Who else? Can you guys talk about any of the other actors that you're thinking about bringing in, or is that still all too hush-hush at this point?
That's still all hush-hush at this point, so...
Okay.
I know. One of these days we are going to be able to make a real announcement, but, everything's still quiet, and trying to hammer out the last of the appropriate details. So,
well, let's talk a little bit more about. Tell me what Film Break is. One of the things that I saw on the site was you could hype Slash on Film Break. Tell me how you guys got involved with Film Break and what it does to help promote the film.
I remember seeing Film Break, I think it was on Facebook, and so I copied down the link. I emailed it to Miranda because Miranda is like the online whiz, the online marketing whiz of all of us. And Miranda was, yes, on it. So she made up a page for Slash, and we got all our friends and enemies and everyone in between to try and hype the page. But she is the one who would know the inner workings of that site.
Now, I certainly want to help you guys get this made. So I'll definitely post a link to that on Horror Society.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
Now, one of the other things that I see on the site, and I don't know how, if you guys know anything about this too much either, there's a little note on there that says, enter for a chance to win enter to win and party hard with the cast and crew at our wrap party when filming ends. Is that one of the perks for the Indiegogo Kickstarter type stuff, or is that an entirely separate contest?
You know what? That actually went up for the Indiegogo. I think that's an old link that was just up for the Indiegogo.
Yeah, it was like, what is the word, streaming? I'm not quite sure what you call it, but the different perks on the Indiegogo sites were showing up on our website, and you could also purchase the perks directly through the website once the Indiegogo campaign had ended. So it was it was a way of continuing to make those perks available to people after the campaign had closed.
There you go.
Are there any plans to open another Indiegogo? I mean, that's pretty much what you guys are waiting for, is funding for the film, correct?
Yeah, it's funding. Rick, I think you'd be way more up to date on the situation of the funding than I would. But I don't think there are plans for another Indiegogo campaign right now. I have found that after running one, and as we did two in quick succession, it's best to sort of lie low for a while and just let everybody and everything recharge. And then maybe attack it from a different angle in 6 months' time, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And regarding funding, boy, something really neat happening right now. Really good response, but I've literally just found out about this myself.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I think funding may. I don't know if things went as well as I was told they went. Then I believe our woes may be over. So cross your fingers from here.
I mean, that's great. Now, some of the other cool things that I've seen on the site, you guys do have an official, it's called the Official Trenches Bloody Barbers 15-month calendar. And it looks like they're...
Bloody, we don't have any barbers here.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Bloody Babes. What can you tell us about the... Bloody Barbers works too, though, What can you tell us about the calendar and how that got to be a part of the site?
We actually had a friend here in town who was really anxious and eager to support us, and she put together, a dozen models, and we went out and had an incredible shoot, and we got a special effects makeup artist, and they have slashed throats and roughed up faces, and yet very, very skimpy girls, very horror-esque.
Well, like I said, you have the T-shirts on the site too, which I think are nice. I always like to have
things on that site. Yeah.
I mean, and that's something that should be talked about too, is just how well put together I think the website is. I mean, it's colorful. You get all the information you really need. You have the cast and crew. You have your news updates. So, I mean, whoever headed up your online thing, if that was Miss Foreman there, she really needs to take credit for a well put together site. A lot of indie films usually don't have sites that are this nice.
I just ran in and grabbed Miss Miranda so she could hear you gushing on her.
Excellent.
Well, I mean, I'm just being serious. It really is, a lot of them put together, and there's nothing wrong with them, but what are they called, like the Weebly websites and things like that? I mean, this is well put together. The pictures, the press releases that are on it. I like the little pictures like the one of Maria. It looks like it's taped, to the whole thing. I mean, it's really nice. So, I mean, I think you guys should know that. Now, one of the other things I think is, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say we make a great creative team, and she is like super talented as far as web design and promotion and branding and all that stuff. And I was just lucky enough to be married to her. So.
Well, Well, I mean, it works in the context of what you're doing. I mean, and it's great that your spouse, enjoys working on these things with you. I mean, that's a tough thing sometimes. Now, one of the other things,
it's valuable.
Now, what I was asking was, with all the publicity that you guys have gotten from all the sites that I mentioned, when you guys go to promoting the film heavily again, what avenue, what are you really looking to push about the film the next time out, and what do you think in general about how the horror community has helped to promote and talk about it?
Absolutely love the horror community.
Yeah.
I absolutely love them. I wish I made billions so that I could just contribute to all these little indie folks, to all of their projects. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't believe how many people have supported us and retweeted and reposted and put links up and just gotten the word out, and it's been absolutely amazing.
Well, now, let's go back to the fundraiser for a minute. And I've asked a lot of independent film directors and actors and actresses what they thought about this. Indiegogo and Kickstarter were pretty much developed for the indie filmmaker to get their projects made. What do you guys think about some of the larger studios and, like the Veronica Mars stuff, the Spike Lee production, where these bigger named Hollywood people are using these? Do you think that hurts your cause, or do you think that helps bring attention to fundraisers?
I've been blabbing my mouth off, Maria. Do you want to take this? I've got an opinion.
Okay, my opinion might be contrary to a lot of people's opinion in that if I put up another Slash campaign tomorrow, I will not get the Veronica Mars supporters to support my Slash campaign because they're a completely different fan demographic. So what does it really matter to me that Veronica Mars goes out there as a Kickstarter or Indiegogo and gets funded? And yes, it most definitely brings the crowdfunding more into public consciousness. So the next time Joe Soap on the street goes, should I contribute to this? Oh yeah, that was how Veronica Mars got made. It's totally on the up and up. Let's do this.
Yeah, sure. I guess my only question with it is that the people that are involved, the actors and actresses and the producers, these are people that have millions of dollars. It's I know if you had $1 million in your pocket, or if Rick had $1 million in his pocket, you may not be crowdfunding. I mean, I guess I'm looking at people who make multi-million-dollar films that are going to turn around and pay to go see it in a theater. I don't know, as an indie film person myself, whether those people are the ones that should be using Indiegogo. Spike Lee can go get $1 million to make a movie just on his name. And it's not an offense to Rick or to you, Maria, but you could just walk up to the studio and go, I'm Maria Olsen, I need $1 million to make this film. Spike Lee can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Rick?
I'm of two minds on that. I do agree with Maria. It brings attention to it, and it does make it more legitimate. Therefore, I do think it's good. On the other hand, you got people contributing to, Veronica Mars or whatever, and that may be taking out of some of the indie films' pockets. Like I said, like Maria mentioned, that demographic's not ours. That film didn't particularly do anything, but if they start advertising for the next Friday the 13th, that is going to have an impact on on my show. So I'm of two minds.
And I can certainly understand that. I mean, it's it's not a hate thing. I mean, I've never tried to go on Indiegogo and raise funds and not be successful for it. It's nothing like that. I just feel like that those programs were intended for the independent filmmaker who couldn't do what a lot of these people can do.
Yeah. Well, it's smart business on their part. Good business is where you find it. Hey, boy, you're all but getting to make a free movie here and collect your payday. So, it's not a bad idea on their part. It's just, it's like, hey, I would like to see it left to the indie folks, but then again, of course, you don't have that legitimacy. So,
Yeah, I think the question sort of comes down to, if you have the money or can get the money through other means, should you use crowdfunding?
Right.
Good call.
Maybe that is a better way to phrase it.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, then another question is, okay, just because I have the money, does that mean I cannot use crowdfunding?
Right.
It's interesting.
And it's a valid point, but I look at most of the films, and I don't have numbers to back this up, but I look at most indie films that get put out through that, they're not going to get theatrical distribution. They're not going to get the push from the DVD companies that, Spike Lee's movie's going to get, that Veronica Mars is going to get, and those are going to be projects that the fans who put the money in, and I realize that's the fans' right if they want to do that, but then they're going to turn around and then go pay $30 to go see it in the theater again. Whereas where I look at something like Slash, if it doesn't get picked up for mainstream distribution, you guys have the opportunity to make your money and not go into a hole. I've seen plenty of talented filmmakers go into the hole because the studio has it over their head. Whereas with crowdfunding, you can do that. Spike Lee's done his movie. And I hate to use Spike Lee. Spike Lee's not the only example, and neither is Veronica Mars. I don't mean to be picking on them, but those are just the ones that immediately come to mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's just something I find interesting to ask a lot of the people I interview. Now, Maria, this is another interesting thing. When I sent you the questions and you were part of that in the Deadly Beauty series that I did online, I found that a lot of the younger actresses these days are almost offended when you use the term scream queen with them these days. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? And like we had kind of talked about it in your interview, but I'm sure horror wasn't what you got into the industry for, but that's a lot of what you do these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on the Scream Queen title?
I think anybody who's known by the same title as Jamie Lee Curtis should say thank you rather than complain about it.
Amen, Maria.
Yeah.
I just found it to be... Go ahead.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, I also think that the title is perhaps given away a little bit too easily these days, perhaps.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I am not a scream queen, so I do not really have the right to talk about that concept. That's your traditional final girl, young heroine in peril, all that sort of thing, and I don't play those roles. I never have and I never will. So if anyone calls me a scream queen, my knee-jerk reaction is to say that's nice, but I'm not one.
Right. But I just found it to be an interesting aspect of a lot of the younger actresses today that it's almost an offensive term that they don't want to be pigeonholed, as working in horror. So
that's a whole different thing. Yeah.
That's true too.
If you ask me, and people have, I'd rather work than not work. I really would, especially in today's industry where there are too few films for actors and actresses. If you take the stand that, no, I don't want to do that film because it's a horror film, and you're up and coming in the industry, you might never get another film, ever. and that's not a threat. That's just because, well, by missing out on that film, you've missed out on a chance to be on screen, be it big or small. You've missed out on an IMDb credit. You've missed out on networking with the production team, with the director, with the DP, with other actors. And as a lot of us know, not all of us, but a lot of us know, work comes from what you do and who you know and how you network with those people. Talent is a part of it, but it's not all of it. You can be the most talented person. If you never speak to anyone else, you ain't going to work.
Yeah, and that's very that's very true.
Stack all that up against, no, I don't want to do horror, and it becomes a silly argument. It's like, do you want to work or do you not want to work?
Yep.
And every time I'll take work, even though I do have a love for the genre, and I have since I was a kid.
What are your thoughts
I don't
on
work
that?
in horror just to work. I love horror.
That's fairly obvious too, and we'll get to some of the other titles in your resume here in a minute. But now, Rice, as a director, what are your thoughts on that?
Gosh. All right, I'm an idiot. Are we still back on the Scream Queen question?
Well, yeah, we're just kind of talking about, in general how actresses perceive working on horror.
Right. As some people turn up their nose at it. They, I don't know. And there's bad horror movies out there, of course. Everybody knows that kind of help them along. But I think horror is actually one of the best places to examine the human condition.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the actors and actresses of the world that understand that and understand that, sometimes, some films are just meant to show a little TNA and a lot of blood, and, others are actually meant to try and say something. And I think maybe that's some of the difference, too. But, I don't know. I'm not real big fan of actors who just completely snub the genre. Come on. It's a great place to really examine what's going on if you've got a decent team to work with.
And who, might I ask, made their start in A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Johnny Depp.
Thank you.
True.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, so many of our
mainstream,
mainstream stars started out in horror.
Good gosh. The biggest James Cameron, his start in horror. Everybody knows Peter Jackson, his start in horror, but then also De Palma. I cannot believe Coppola. Dementia 13. How many current boy, I'm all tongue-tied right now. What I'm trying to, Roger Corman, how many of the current wave of top industry people did he pull out? Did he train? How many people learned on his films, his low-budget schlock, mostly horror or sexploitation?
Yeah. How
many top directors right now, how many of the top producers right now, how many stars came out of his film? Dozens, probably hundreds. Yeah.
Well, and then you turn around and you look at that. You look at guys like Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth, who have gone back and resurrected the careers of actors from that time period and those films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's crazy how they
how
do
it all
that.
comes full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they did with a lot of them. So I was happy to see Robert Forster come back. So.
Well, look at the career. Cheech Marin was doing good, but look at what happened when he was in From Dusk Till Dawn. It blew up.
Yeah.
Just so many different people that you can talk about that came back like that. But before we close the show, at the end of the show, we'll definitely bring Slash up again. But I do want to bring up some of your guys' other stuff. Now, Rick, one of the first things that you and I had talked about before we started the interview was the 69 Flavors of Paranoia. Can you please tell everybody what this is?
69 Flavors of Paranoia. It's a funky little web zine. concentrates mostly on horror, fantasy, sci-fi, primarily short fiction, although we do poetry, artwork, and we do enjoy showing the short film from time to time as well. Love the digital platform because it allows for things like that. So anyway, yeah, it's, if it's funky, if it's horrific, Twilight Zone-esque, send it on down to 69 FOP and you'll get in.
Yeah, it just struck me funny. I was like, that is just a unique website. I mean, it's just so cool. Now, Maria, we had talked about some of your other projects, and we'll get to some of the ones that are listed as, forthcoming and stuff. But you've done so much independent stuff, and like you said, it's networking and who you know and things like that. But can you kind of give us an idea, what was it like working on Lords of Salem? What was it like working on Percy Jackson? What was it like working on some of those projects?
Okay, it was cold working on Lords of Salem because all of my scenes were nude, actually. There were a whole bunch of us who were running around in our birthday suits, and you got really comfortable with yourself and other people really, 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 really quickly. Yes. Rob was an absolute wonder to work with. He's so quiet. I mean, I saw him walk past, and my mind was like, that's Rob Zombie, and my head was like, no, that isn't. That's a grip, dressed in jeans, T-shirt, that's obviously a grip. No, it's Rob Zombie. He's got such a calm and quiet presence on set. It's amazing.
It's funny. When I interviewed Tyler and Renee, they, because they worked with him on, Tyler was Michael Myers, of course, in Halloween and Halloween 2. And that's one of the things that they said about Rob. You would, that he said he works very hard, but, he's not one of those guys that goes out and parties hard and drinks all night and does crazy stuff. He works hard while he's on set, but when he's off set, if he didn't tell you, you wouldn't know he was Rob Zombie.
Right. Before I got to set, I was like looking at his videos and thinking, oh my gosh, what are we in for? And then there's this quiet dude walking quietly around, and I'm like, okay, yeah. We filmed at the Los Angeles Theater, which is literally it's a secret. It is this amazingly gorgeous building hidden in a drab gray high-rise in the middle of downtown Los Angeles, and you would never, ever know from the outside that inside is this beautiful, beautiful old movie theater and theater. It has an actual stage on it, too. I'm talking gold and gilt and velvet and lace and anything you could possibly imagine. It is the most beautiful place. Yeah, we shot in the bathrooms, which are like huge and made out of marble and gilt and mirror and gold, and it's stupid, actually. And we also shot in the auditorium of the theater, which was it was just such a fabulous experience, beautiful place, amazing people. Sherry Moon Zombie saying things like, I'm going to fall off this table if we don't do this shot quickly, because she was like on this rickety table standing high above the stage. That was interesting. Seeing someone who I've admired all my life, Patricia Quinn from Rocky Horror Picture Show, I was like, okay, I'm in fangirl mode now. Ha ha. So,
well, and it's something I wanted to ask both of you, actually. Especially you, Maria, with all of the projects that you've been on, you guys are both professionals in what you do. Rick with stuff like Winning Ticket, Deja Vu. You know your way behind the camera and on a set. Yeah. Maria, definitely with you. Do you? I mean, you basically answered it, but do you really still get starstruck when you work with certain people?
I never really have ever. To me, they're just people acting just like me, who worry about the same things I do, like am I going to fall over that cable or forget my lines or eat too much that I fall asleep, They have the same concerns as I do, and if I speak for myself, I just want to be treated like a normal person. I don't want to be treated any differently from anyone. I don't want to be put on a pedestal or dealt with any differently. So how I want to be treated is how I treat the other people on set with me.
Yep.
Like a normal person, normal interaction. You know? That being said, there are certain people, and it's mostly the actresses I grew up adoring on screen when I was a kid, that I would definitely have a bit of a fangirl moment with. But, you know.
I mean, I certainly understand that.
Yeah, business as usual. I mean, no, if you're working, you don't want your fellow actor to come up to you and go all nuts. You really don't. You just want to work professionally and as quickly and as well as you possibly can. I don't know. Yeah. That's just me. How
about you, Rick?
No, that's you know, through I kind of do everything. I make films. I help at the film festival here. I write stories. I'm kind of all over entertainment. But yeah, I mean, I've worked with Nicolas Cage, Nick Nolte, Peter Bogdanovich. Those are like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and you don't expect it. I mean, you know, you hear some like strange things about Nick Cage and stuff sometimes, but man, he was so nice. He was so unassuming. He was, I don't know, he was incredible. I actually find that a lot of the really pain in the ass people, it's not Maria though, so thankfully, but it's a lot of them are people like in Maria's position, where they are real, you know, they're kind of coming up. They've had a lot of credits behind them, and they seem to get, I don't know, upset or bitter that people don't recognize them and that they're not afforded their due respect, you know. And it's just, in my opinion, it's those people who are most often the biggest pains in the industry.
I was actually just going to say that. Yeah, it's this middle layer that have a sense of entitlement sometimes that really they should not have, because the only thing I feel about working so much is grateful. You know, grateful, and I'm real lucky to do that. You know,
well, and I'll agree with you guys on that from a journalist standpoint as well. You know, I've done some acting, some producing, some effects. I'm nowhere near what you guys do, but I've been on set to do it. You know, I know how it's done. I've seen how it's done. And as a journalist, especially Horror Society, we promote indie horror. That's what we do. And I've found, you know, it's funny, people that I've had on the shows for interviews, you know, big name, and I consider you guys big names as well. You know, you guys have always been polite. You're not rude. You're not forceful. You know, when you guys, when any of the people I've interviewed have asked me, can you cover a project for me, it's always please and thank you. And I have found that you're right, it's like that middle layer of people. They're not newcomers, but they're not superstars. And they have talent, but they think that the world begins and ends when they email you, you know, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And I think it's odd. Why do you think that is? Why is it people in the beginning are so nice and a lot of the larger stars are nice? What is it about that middle layer, do you think?
Perhaps
that makes a lot of people like
fear. That. I would go with insecurity and fear of losing what they have.
Yeah. I could agree with that. Or, you know, just feeling like, you know, I should be a much bigger star. You know, people just don't appreciate me. You know, okay, come on, really. Like Maria said, just be grateful for any gig you get. It's a tough business.
oh my goodness. Yeah, it's tough. Yes.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a lot of hurry up and wait sometimes. Trust me, I do understand that.
Oh, now, that's fine. I've learned I bring at least 2 books with me to every set, because that's the only time I get to actually sit down and read a book is while I'm between setups on a set.
Yep.
Yeah, I can read without guilt, so I'm happy campus when that happens. I'm fine.
Well, now let me ask you this, since Rick, you kind of brought it up, and Maria, we've mentioned it several times with you already. you guys just don't fill one hole on a movie set. Producing, writing, directing, just everything that you guys have done, you guys wear multiple hats on set.
Yeah.
Out of all the things that you guys do, which one do you find to be the most enjoyable, and which one do you find to be the most challenging?
Oh, boy. Okay, the most challenging for me, definitely producing. I'm quiet and shy by nature. I have such a hard time putting myself out there. You probably don't believe me. I feel like I've held up fairly well for the interview, but man, no, I'm so quiet. I'm always the guy that's in the corner of the party, just kind of watching everybody else.
Oh God, me too. Yes. I'm going to go with fundraising as the hardest part of this business. It is by far, almost the impossible aspect. If I did have $1 million in my back pocket, I will make 10 movies almost instantly, maybe more. I don't. We have to literally sit down and brainstorm ways in which to beg, borrow, or steal money to make films. Literally. Yeah. So, yeah, that's hard.
What would you say you guys is your favorite aspect then? What I mean, is, like, Rick, I mean, and I know it sounds funny, but, like, is directing really your passion? Is it the writing? Maria, for you, is acting really your passion, or, do you want to be a director? I mean, producer? What is it that when you wake up every day you go, thank God I'm doing it, and it's this reason?
For me, it's simple. It is purely the creative aspect. Whether I'm writing, whether I'm directing, doing photography, I don't know, just being camera operator. It's the creative aspect that just absolutely drives me and keeps me going. That's what does it. Now, I guess maybe to answer your question a little more specifically, I think of myself more as an actor and a writer than anything. Yeah, I know, crazy.
Maria?
I don't a lot of either nowadays, but
yeah, I adore writing as well, and that's the one aspect that I probably don't have enough time to do. I love acting. I've been acting since I was a kid. If I don't act or be creative in that aspect, I get very grouchy and very unhappy, because that's one of the things I was born to do. Producing I like, but I need the creative outlet of acting or writing. Directing I adore, but I direct for stage rather than screen. I've never directed for screen yet, and I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I have the understanding that I need to be able to direct competently. Something that I really, really, really love, and I've learned to love it more and more as I do more of it, is casting, actually. I love reviewing submissions. I love seeing actors audition. I love choosing people for roles. I love telling people that they've booked a role. That is going to be one of the most fulfilling things ever, to make someone in this industry happy by telling them they've booked a role.
You need good earplugs for that, though.
You do.
Sometimes you do, yeah. Well, I mean, since you guys are around the industry so much, the biggest thing these days is remakes, and you can either love them or you can hate them. There's plenty of arguments on both sides for that. But let's take this into we're going to take this into dream projects for a second. If there was a remake being made, and it could be any film, what remake would you want to be a part of, and in what capacity?
You want to go first, Maria? Or?
Sure. I'll say Metropolis, and I want to play the robot.
Nice. That's a great call. What about you, Rick?
I think I would actually want to do a more obscure Harryhausen film called Valley of Gwangi.
I'm familiar with that as well.
Yes.
Awesome. I love that film. I got it on DVD a couple of years ago. I was so excited. I sat down to show my kids, and they were just like, look at the crappy visual effects. And I was like, oh, guys, come on. So it was like, I don't know. I would love to try and update that a little bit and yet still, just keep that wonderful spirit that Harryhausen and company, infused into every film he did. Excuse me.
Two excellent choices in films. Would not have pegged those in a million years, but good calls.
So see, my other one was Death Race 2000, but it was semi-remade recently, so,
Well, that's true. Well, now, we'll get back to Slash here. One of the interesting aspects that we're starting to see more and more in the industry is a lot of these indie films now are being self-distributed. Download through iTunes, you have Netflix, you have all of these options available open to you now. Is it your hope with Slash to get it into theaters, for mass viewing, of course, or if it doesn't go that route, would you look at self-distributing as opposed to trying to go through a studio?
The intention with it is mass distribution. We've got a couple of, we're actually dealing with one really big company, which, boy, getting picked up by them would be absolutely incredible. You know them. Everybody knows them. Still can't
let the speculation begin.
Yeah, exactly. So the intention is to go. I don't know. One of the things with Slash too, I worked. I never really did answer your first question. I'm the writer, director, and producer. Actually, co-writer. I brought in one of my buddies, Jeremy Orr, to just help punch up a little bit of this and that. Anyway. Now. I see. I got off track and then lost my train of thought again. Man, I'm so bad at that. See, now you know why I stand in the corner of parties. I don't have any personal assistants here going, no, Rick, this is what you're doing. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, thanks.
Well, I guess where I'm going with it is like, I'll give you an example. Matt Farnsworth, who directed The Orphan Killer. I don't know if either of you have seen it. I think it's a phenomenal movie, and they went the self-distribution route. And Matt had talked about one of the pitfalls is over the last calendar year, the film has been illegally downloaded 1 million times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do you, well, Maria, because both of you, because you've worked on, so many projects and what you've seen, for the indie film director, do you feel like it's better to go with a studio, even if you don't make money on it, to get your name out there, or self-distribute it, make your money back, but maybe not get as much notoriety? How do you guys feel about that?
As long as I can pay my investors back, that's all I really, really, truly care about. Is making sure that they make a good investment. And I figure, hey, if they do, then the money's going to come automatically, Now, I don't know. I wouldn't turn my nose up at either prospect, really. Like I said, we have been talking with a major studio who has some interest, and that's obviously the route that I would love to see the most. Yeah. So.
A couple
what
things.
on your end? Go ahead.
Sometimes if you sell to a studio or an established production company, you lose creative rights as well, and they will completely recut your film. So you basically have lost control of what you wanted to make. You know, it no longer has your stamp. It's no longer your vision of your story. If you're willing to do that for a quick X amount of $1,000, great. That's one option, definitely. If you want to retain creative control, then look at the self-distribution route. Illegal downloads are a problem of both areas. I mean, the big films are being illegally downloaded just as much as the small indies. They are. And I know it's probably going to fall on deaf ears, but to the people who download these damn films illegally, stop it. If you had any idea of how difficult it is to make a damn feature film and get it out there, you would not do it.
You know, I could not agree more, but I am, like, consistently amazed at how many people in the industry I know are like, oh, yeah, I just downloaded this and watched it, and I'm like, really? You're in the business. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that as well, guys. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I only own 2 bootlegs, but they're 15-year-old VHS tapes of movies that were not available in the United States.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the only time I've ever...
And the minute they became available for legal buying, I went out and I bought them.
Right.
Yep. Same here.
You
Phantasm 2.
There you go. I got, what was it, the Japanese Laserdisc uncut version of Army of Darkness, and the one that we still have not seen to this day is the producer's cut of Halloween 6.
Are you kidding? Man, I had that for a while.
Oh man, it's an entirely different movie. But you know, I agree. You know, bootlegging is for the birds. You definitely shouldn't do that, whether it's music or anything else.
Right.
But to round out the interview, let me ask you guys this. I think the concept of slash is really great. What are you guys looking for, Rick, as a director and a producer? What are you looking to do with this film that sets it apart from the typical slasher film? And Maria, you know, as a producer and an actress, what are you looking to do in this film that will set it apart from the typical slasher film?
Cool. Well, I guess on my end, sort of 3 things. One of my chief complaints with most slasher flicks is you've either got a really good story and almost no gore, or you've got a ton of great gore and just the dumbest story you've ever seen in your life. And one of my aims in writing the script was to really come right in between. There's gallons of blood used at certain times, but I was always very careful to make sure that the violence was motivated by the story or that would continue to motivate the story. There's no, happen across some teens in the middle of the woods and watch them have sex for 10 minutes and then hack them up.
That's the other film, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's none of that going on. I really wanted to, try and give a little bit of story and kind of, I guess, go back to what I was talking about earlier in the interview. Horror is a great place to study the human condition. And story, lots of blood, and then the third thing, we've got some never-before-seen stuff to do in 3D. And somehow I dreamed up this crazy stuff that nobody else has yet, or at least nobody's been able to afford to do yet. And
how about for you, Maria?
For me, what I like about Slash, definitely story, definitely the Ripper tie-in, as nebulous as it is, I get a kick out of it, and I know Ripper fans will too. Ripperologists and Ripperphiles definitely will. And also, I'm a sucker for stunning visuals, and I think that's what you're going to get with the story that Rick has written and the groundbreaking new 3D effects that he has in mind. That's
excellent.
Sort of kept that under wraps for now. sort of. I mean, we say 3D, and everyone has an idea of what it is, but no one really knows what Rick has figured out.
Excellent. Is there anything else you want to tell your fans before we say goodbye?
Thank you so much for all the support, the encouragement. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys had a great time, and thank you, Michael. Cannot thank you enough for your support. So,
no problem. Maria?
Thank you very much, Michael, for having us on, having us speak for an hour about random things. It was fun. Anything to tell people? Yes, friend me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook. Do not follow me on Twitter. I am still fighting with Twitter. It's been going on for 6 months now. I want to kill them. Okay, I love you, Twitter. That's pretty much it, yes. And be nice to your cats.
Be nice to your cats. I like that. Do you guys want to give the official website address for Slash?
Let's see. Now, this is so ridiculous. It's like the third time I've had to stop in the middle of an interview and come in to Miss Miranda. What is the Slash web address? Slashflick.com. I could remember Slash 2010, which was an old one, yeah. Slashflick.com.
Well, guys, thank you for being on the show. You're always welcome. When some more news breaks, I will gladly have you guys back on. When things become more concrete, if you guys want to do another show, we can certainly do one. You're always welcome at Horror Society, and if there's anything we can ever do for you guys, please let us know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a bunch, Michael.
No problem, guys. You have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.
And once again, that was our interview with Maria Olsen, producer and actress, and Rick Foreman, producer, director, and writer of the upcoming film Slash. Make sure to check out plenty of their other work as well. I feel like these are people Maria has been around in the industry for a while. You have probably seen her in films and didn't even realize it was her, but definitely go onto IMDb, go to her webpage, check out everything she's been on. Rick, same with Rick. Go onto his IMDb, go to his Facebook, go to his website, and check out everything that he is involved with. Coming up in about 7 minutes, we are going to have Mitch from Gore Noir come on. He's going to talk about the magazine and a couple of other things going on. But we're going to head into our next Metal Blade Spotlight really quick. Ooh, the next song is from Pentagram Chile off of their album The Malefice. The name of the song is Spontaneous Combustion. and welcome back to the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. You just heard Pentagram Chile off of their album, The Malefice. The name of the song was Spontaneous Combustion. If you enjoy your doom, speed, and thrash, this is definitely a band for you to listen to. Make sure to head on over to metalblade.com and check out their profile page. You can also find them on Facebook. You can also purchase your album from metalblade.com. You can also get it on iTunes, or you can go to your favorite retail store. Coming up here any time now, we should be hearing from Mitch from Gore Noir magazine. Tell us a little bit about the special issue that's getting ready to come up, including the special artwork, which I happen to find extremely amazing. It is a Nosferatu cover in black and white, so I'm really excited to have him come on and talk about it. And I do have an article coming up in that issue. The issue focuses primarily on the Universal monsters and things of that time period, so I kind of go into zombies and kind of how they got their birth at the same time as the great films of the Universal age. So, like I said, in a moment, we should be having him call in to discuss the magazine. So, but we do want to say thank you again to our friends Maria Olsen and Rick Foreman coming on to talk about Slash. They really went in depth to let us know about what's going on with the film. And I'm looking forward to hearing more news about it. I know that they were still waiting to hear about some funding, and hopefully we'll hear about what studio has the interest in the show. So, and before that, we had our Blu-ray DVD review of Anchor Bay and Troma Entertainment's return to Nuke Em High Volume 1. And after we speak with Mitch from Gore Noir, we will be doing our review of Scream Factory's Bad Dreams. But it looks like Mitch is joining us. Hello, is this Mitch from Gore Noir magazine?
Yep, this is Mitch. A little late, but better late than sorry, right?
Oh, of course. Well, I just came on for this first for this issue and wrote an article for it. But before we talk about that, why don't you let everyone know about the magazine, how it came to be, and how long it's been out?
Well, I mean, it's pretty much like what everybody says. It's ran by the people. We all love horror, and I kind of have always wanted to do a magazine. So why not mix the two loves together? Love for horror and literary sort. Of course, we're like mostly art and photography, that kind of stuff. We do a lot of like artists and photographers, models, the kind of stuff that Fangoria, Ruborg only kind of touches on.
Kind of tell everyone about how the magazine came to conception and how many issues are you guys in?
Well, actually, this year is going to be our third year, and we're about, the issue that you're going to be a part of, that's actually going to be our 11th issue. We print out pretty much every 3 months because it is, ran by us. So I'm pretty much doing all the layouts myself, doing a lot of the interviews, that sort of stuff. So it's a lot of fun mixing all that together. I got to meet a lot of cool people.
Now, you had mentioned artwork is one of the focuses of the magazine, and what I found particularly alluring about the new issue that's getting ready to come out is it's not going to be your standard issue. Kind of give people an idea of what you're doing special with this edition.
Well, I mean, a lot of what I like to do with the magazine is, like, since we're not a big magazine, we could do, like, special editions, kind of mess around with the regular format. So this one's going to be special because it's all black and white, and it's actually going to be shaped like a coffin. So I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I don't want to say like we're the first to ever do it, but I looked, I didn't see any, so we're probably one of the first to do a coffin mag, and it's all going to be old school monsters, so like the Universal monsters, that sort of stuff. We got our good friend Eric O'Neill doing our cover of Nosferatu, so it's pretty rad.
I mean, that was one of the things that struck me right away, was just how amazing his artwork is. How did he become involved with the magazine, and how did you get him to do the cover?
Well, we meet most of our people through, like, just vending and stuff like that. We actually met Eric vending, and he was, like, set up right next to us, and we were looking at all his stuff, and, like, we need to buy one of his prints. And, we kind of meet people through that, and just hand him our card. He was pretty local, so hung out with him a couple times. He actually helped us move, and so he's become a cool friend. And I like promoting people's stuff, so we promote their stuff. They do art for us. It's kind of like a bartering system, I guess you could say. We're a small business, so pretty much that's how most of it works. So
now, to this point, you said you're in your third year. This will be the 11th issue. What do you, what has been the fan response to the magazine?
It seems like everybody's really, really into it. Like, I have a lot of people coming to me wanting to, do articles for us, and, I get submissions all the time, and it's actually, we're getting to the point where, we're big enough to start doing interviews with, people like Doug Bradley, Greg Nicotero, people, Norman Reedus, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff where, the fanboy in you kind of just gets a little giddy, like, getting a tour of Candy effects with all the walking meds on these, stuff like that was pretty rad. So people are definitely, latching onto it. They're pretty into it. So.
Now, have you taken it to any conventions? How have you gone about the distribution route for the magazine?
Distribution route, right now it's kind of, I had somebody who wanted to, come on as a distributor, but you'd have to sign a contract, of course, and you pretty much have to put it out every 3 months. And I like to not put an issue out until it's perfect. So sometimes there's like a week or two where, it's not out right because, I haven't gotten a, interview so-and-so, so definitely don't want to put it out yet. So I didn't want to sign the contract because I like putting out a good product. I don't like putting out, half-done issues. So I didn't want to do that. And then plus also you can't really do a coffin-shaped mag and, do distribution with it. So, it would cut back on things like that I can do. I'm still interested in doing it, and I will do it, but for now it's just kind of, word of mouth and, distributing through our own, small businesses. So,
now you had
but
mentioned...
then also
go ahead, please.
On the vending route, we did do Texas Frightmare. We were supposed to do it this year, but we were a little too late on that one. So
now
we're still going to attend. So.
Okay. Well, you had mentioned you had mentioned Rue Morgue. You had mentioned Fangoria, two of the larger magazines that are out there in terms of mainstream distribution. But you would also mention how with Gore Noir, you were trying to promote some of the things that those magazines didn't cover. From that aspect, what is it that you feel Gore Noir brings to the genre fan that you won't see in Fangoria, that you won't see in Rue Morgue? What sets you guys apart?
I think it's mostly that, we don't kind of cater to the big companies like, big movie companies. Our covers are usually just like the regular, artist. It's not like, basically like a movie poster for whatever big movie's out at the time now. And that's what you see with a lot of the big magazines. They're kind of, tied to where their money's coming from. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the nice thing about ours is, we're a small company thinking big. So we're able to still, work with the small, people that don't get, the big exposure from the other magazines. So I like doing that. I like working with people and, getting artists exposure, getting photographers exposure, and, being able to kind of, introduce people to these these awesome artists that wouldn't, normally see a magazine, article on themselves. So, and I think that's kind of what sets us apart is, people see that we're promoting stuff. We're not just trying to leech off of people. We're kind of, artists ourselves. So, we know how it is to be in the business. So.
Now, let me ask you, since the inception of the magazine, you had mentioned Greg Nicotero, you mentioned Doug Bradley. Who's been the person so far that you've done an interview with and you've been like, oh, my God, I just interviewed so-and-so?
I think it was Greg Nicotero because we actually got to, sit down with him in his office. And his office is just, crazy awesome. He's got, the crate from Creek Show in there, and he's got, alien skulls on the wall. And he's just a really rad, down-to-earth dude. And, we were interviewing him. We talked to him for maybe a half hour. And then when I was like, well, that's the last question, he's like, that's it? You no more questions for me? I was like, well, we could turn this into a 3-hour interview if you want. He's just super cool about everything. So I think, he's kind of one of those guys that just, has a love for special effects and, he knows how to do it well, obviously. And he's just a cool dude all around. So he was kind of the one where, because it's just everything around you, too. He had this big, huge, Jaws, taken from, original mold, a Jaws, head. And I was just whoa. So you're just, you're walking around with your mouth open, all this stuff is just super cool. Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Well, give everyone an idea of when you're targeting your release date for the next issue, and kind of give people a preview of what's going to be in this current issue.
So this next issue, I'm actually pretty much knee-deep in it right now. It's going to be out at the end of the month, so end of March, and so we're going to have Eric O'Neill having a bunch of his artwork in there. We're going to have your article, of course. You could talk that up, too. And then it's just a bunch of cool articles on, the zombies. And then we have one that's going to be on I'm at work, and my brain just goes out the door when I'm working. So, end of the month, the coffin-shaped issue is just going to be awesome in and of itself. The cover is awesome. The ad... So for these special editions, we usually just do one ad. So our ad is done by Goals Night Out, our good friend Matt Saltwater, who does a horror punk over on the East Coast. So Goals Night Out is our sponsor for that issue. And, just check us out on gorenoir.com. You find us pretty much, you just type in Gore Noir on anything. We're on every social network. So, and if you tweet that kind of stuff, it's going straight to me. I'll tweet back and follow back most of the time. So I like to be, interactive with everybody. So
sure. So the magazine is a print edition. Do you guys also make it available in digital format?
We do. So we have an actual app on for iTunes. So you check Gore Noir in iTunes. There's an app where you can get all of our older issues. I like to leave the print issues exclusive for a couple months, and then I turn them digital. So that way people aren't buying, a magazine and, somebody's looking at it, digital before that. So I like actual magazines in my hand. So that's what the digital is kind of, also because I know somebody in Russia wants to read the magazine and he's not going to pay for shipping. So, digital is kind of the future, but I like print. I just love it. So on iTunes and then Magster, the app called Magster, you can look up Gore Noir, and we're on there as well.
Can you give everyone an idea of the price of the magazine?
So the price of the magazine, it's a little bit more than most of your magazines because we are a small magazine. So you buy them online. They're pre-orders usually about $10. After that, they go up to $13. For special editions like this Coffin Mag, this one's probably going to be about $8 in that range. Online, digital mags, those are $3.99, and I think you can get a subscription digitally right now for about $10. So really cheap if you want to, get a digital issue. I know people don't like, just having a digital issue, so I put the price lowdown on there so people can kind of take a look at it and then, decide to actually get a, regular subscription. So.
Well, actually, do you want to give everyone the web address where they can get the magazine one more time?
Yeah, it's you can go to Gore Noir, it's GORENOIR.com, and you can find pretty much everything through that. And we're on Instagram and Twitter, both at Gore Noir Mags, and our links are all through those as well. So pretty much you just type Gore Noir in anything, and you're going to find us. So. And,
excellent. Well, Mitch,
Noir is Noir. So.
Okay. Well, I will put another link up on Horror Society. Mitch, I want to thank you again for coming on. I'm looking forward to being in the magazine and hopefully in a couple of future issues as well. Thank you for coming on. You're always welcome at Horror Society, and we look forward to the issue. Awesome.
Thanks for having me, and everybody out there, definitely check out the magazine and support small business and small magazines, definitely.
Definitely. Thank you, man.
All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Once again, that was Mitch from Gore Noir Magazine. Make sure to check out the upcoming issue number 11, with the special Nosferatu cover. It is a coffin-shaped magazine, and I can tell you that the artwork is absolutely stunning. Check in on Horror Society in the next couple of days, and I will make sure that picture is up. So, I think it is time to move into our last DVD review for the evening. I think it's time to go to Digital Dismemberment.
Digital
And welcome back to Digital Dismemberment. This time we are going to be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release, double disc release, or not double disc, but 2-film release. The film we're going to be reviewing this evening is Bad Dreams. It is being released on a single disc 2-movie set with visiting hours. Give you a little bit of background info on Bad Dreams. In the mid-'70s, the members of the love cult Unity Fields sought the ultimate joining by dousing themselves with gasoline and committing mass suicide. A young girl blown clear of the fiery explosion was the only survivor. 13 years later, Cynthia awakens from a coma inside a psychiatric hospital with only buried memories of that horrific day. But now, her fellow patients are each being driven to their own violent suicides. Has the sect's leader returned to claim his final child? Bruce Abbott co-stars in this intense shocker from director Andrew Fleming and producer Gail Ann Hurd. I have to tell you, this is a movie that I have not seen in years, not since it came out, basically. And I'm glad to see that it got a release with Scream Shout Factory. It's definitely more of an obscure title, probably. Those of you that are fans of the Reanimator series obviously are familiar with Bruce Abbott and his work. But, once again, with it being a Scream Factory release, I think it goes without saying that, once again, I think that the picture and the audio are absolutely stunning for the release. And what's nice about this double feature is there is a nice selection of special features to go along with it. For Bad Dreams, we have the commentary with writer-director Andrew Fleming, which I found to be quite insightful, gave some interesting insights into the film. Don't want to give away too much on that, but it's for those of you that listen to the behind-the-scenes stuff and the commentaries, it's definitely worth a listen. There are interviews with actors Jennifer Rubin, Bruce Abbott, and Dean Cameron. It was really interesting to listen to Jennifer's parts of the interview. Her experiences, first time on set, accidentally sitting with the lighting and rigging crew instead of sitting with the director and the producer and things like that. Bruce Abbott, of course, just Bruce Abbott. I mean, I will always see him as his role in Reanimator, of course, but it was nice to see him in something else in the genre. Again, playing a doctor. I think he owns the corner market on playing doctors. And of course, you had Dean Cameron as well, and he really filled in some insights and things he did on the set for motivation. It was nice to see the special effects of Bad Dreams as well. The burn makeup, a lot of the makeup in the film I found to be extremely entertaining and well done. The burn makeup was quite nice, the slit throats. The suicide sequences were staged very nicely, brought a lot of color and, for lack of a better pun, a lot of impact with some of them. There was a behind the scenes of Bad Dreams. You got to see some of the filming, some of the setup on shots, and how everything collaborated with that. There was also the original ending to the film. So if you've seen this film, obviously you now know that there was an alternate ending to the film, which I don't think quite, in a way it had some impact, in a way it didn't. I didn't like the way that the one doctor is handled at the end, but I did find the aspect of the character of Cynthia going back to the house to quote-unquote exorcise her demons at the end of the film. Of course, you had the theatrical trailer for the film as well. Like I said, overall, it's more of a minor cult classic, but it is a film that I remember fondly from my childhood. Did enjoy it, and again, like I said, the transfer is great. Scream Factory, of course, is very well known for that. I am very much looking forward to watching Visiting Hours. That will be the movie in the Scream Factory DVD review spotlight for next week. As far as a rating goes, I would say as far as a feature film goes, Bad Dreams is a 7. Not that it's a bad film. It was a film that, and it's discussed in the special features, they had initially hoped that it would become a franchise, but Jennifer Rubin, who played Cynthia, kind of talked about how the characters committing suicide kind of put a damper on that. But they were definitely hoping for something along the lines of A Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. And again, not a bad film. It definitely preys on the use of cults and how dangerous a cult can be. Whether or not Cynthia is actually haunted by the leader of the cult or whether it's all the one doctor remains up to question. It depends on how you really wanted to view it, I guess. But it definitely told a good story, and like I said, the effects work I thought were really, really good. Especially some of the firework in the film. Kind of reminds me of The Burning from that sense. It's, even though there wasn't as much fire in The Burning, as funny as that sounds, the use of the flame effects and the digital effects that went into that for its time, were definitely well done. So as an overall, especially with the features and getting to pick the brains of the actors and actresses and of course listening to them on the commentaries, definitely helped shed some light on a film that many may not remember, but like I said, there are those of us that do. As far as the special features on this disc go, I would give it a solid 8. So overall, again, another very solid and well put together effort by Scream Factory. It's definitely a film that needs to be added to your viewing list. The film was released, or the DVD was released on the 18th of February of this year, and you can get it for $19.97 over at shoutfactory.com. You can also check it out over on iTunes, and you can certainly go to your brick-and-mortar store and pick it up there. Well, again, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic night. I want to say thank you to my man Ed Peters out at Anchor Bay and to my friends at Troma for Return to Nuke Em High Volume 1. I thought that was a great review. And like I said, we just got done reviewing Scream Factory's Bad Dreams on a double feature with Visiting Hours, which will be reviewed next week. I want to thank Maria Olsen and Rick Foreman for coming on to be my guest and talk about their upcoming film, Slash. And, of course, I want to say thank you to Mitch at Gore Noir Magazine for being in our indie spotlight for the evening. So we're going to close it out with our last song from a Metal Blade artist. Excuse me. The name of the band is the Black Dahlia Murders. The name of the CD is Ever Black. And the name of the song is In Hell Is Where She Waits for Me. And until next week, this is the Dead Man, Michael Jones from Horse Society, telling you all to rest in